Can I beat Pokemon Black 2 using only fossil Pokemon? I don't know, but we're about to find out. In a hardcore Nuzlocke, if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace, no active items can be used in battle, and we play the games on set mode. But how did I come across 9 fossil Pokemon when I'm a fledgling Pokemon trainer? I don't know, let's pretend my dad's this guy. And after he came down with a sudden case of explosions, I find myself in the Unova region, where I find myself hanging out with this puffy green hat, and this edgelord who says that pirates stole his sister's cat or something like that. The way that we're going to be approaching this challenge is that after defeating every gym leader, we're going to be adding one random fossil to our party. But without further ado, let's jump into it. Anyways, we find ourselves face to face with Professor Juniper's newest assistant, Bianca, who says she's going to give us our very first partner Pokemon. But joke's on you, lady, I already have a partner, and her name is Sarah the Shieldon. But before we can start our journey properly, we're going to be challenged by Hugh in our first ever rifle battle. Hugh starts off with Tepig, and we are going to go ahead and send in Sarah. It's going to go for a tackle doing literally 1, and we are going to go for a tackle doing like 3 or 4, still not a whole lot. I am, after all, a Shieldon, and after a second one, we have it down to about half, as it then switches things up, going for a Tail Whip. It's then going to go for another Tail Whip, which is an amazing strategy as it's left on just 1 HP. It's going to continue going for Tail Whips, which is an absolutely amazing strategy, especially because it only has 1 HP. And after we take it down defeating Hugh, we can officially begin our Pokemon journey. After finding a lost dog, it's going to be time for us to take on Sharon in our first ever gym battle. Sharon's going to start off with Patrat, and we send in Sarah. I'm going to go for a tackle on this thing, doing like a third, as it's going to go ahead and go for a workup. And I'm going to go for another tackle because I need to hope that it's not going to do a lot of damage to me, and it literally does too. So I guess we're going to continue just tackling this thing, but obviously it's going to outspeed me on the following turn, going for another bite as another tackle gets it down into the red. Sharon is going to go ahead and use a potion to heal basically back up to full, and we can start tackling it once again as another tackle comes in, getting it down quite low, and it goes for a bite. And I'm surprised I'm faster than this Patrat because I'm a Shieldon, but whatever, we can go for one more tackle taking down Patrat. Lillipup's going to come in as his ace because I'm not playing this on challenge mode. I've never even played the game before. And it's going to go for a bite, and we flinch, unfortunately, as it then decides to go for a workup. With its attack raised, we can go for a tackle, getting it down just about 20% as it goes for a second workup. Now we managed to score a crit, bringing it down to about a third, which is wonderful as it goes for a +2 bite, and we are almost at half. Unfortunately, we flinch again. Lillipup is then going to go for another bite, and it's going to bring us down low enough to activate our Oranberry, and we flinch for a third time as it continues chomping on us. But we go for another tackle, bringing it down into the red, and thank goodness we got that crit. Anyways, we're going to get back down to half, and one more tackle takes down Lillipup, which means we're going to get to add one more friend to the squad, and we defeat Sharon. After the battle, we run back into the Green Hat Lady, and apparently her and Necktie go way back. And after rolling on our random table, we're going to grab ourselves Snips the Anorith. And now it's going to be time for us to face off against Roxy and her noxious poison Pokemon. She starts off by sending in a Coughing, and we're going to send in Sarah. I decided to leave off with Sarah because I can't be poisoned, but I also do like 1 damage, so when this Coughing comes in and tackles me for literally 1, I actually do a decent amount of damage with a return. On the following turn, we outspeed going for another return as it goes for a tackle. It's then going to win the speed tie on the following turn, and we go for another one, getting it down wicked low, which means Roxy's going to heal up with a super potion. Now going for another return, we can do what it do as an assurance comes in, and we go for another one. Anyway, the tackle's going to come in, and we can go for another return, getting this thing down quite low, and one more takes down Coughing. When Roxy's Whirlpeed comes in, I am very happy to know that it doesn't have rollout because that's what I was afraid of. Anyways, it's going to go for a Pursuit on the first turn, doing minimal damage, and we can go for a return, doing a bit of our own. After that, it goes for a Protect, and of course, I don't get to do anything, as another Pursuit comes in, scoring a crit, and we get it to half. It then goes for another Protect, because I guess what else is it supposed to do here, as it then hits us with a Pursuit, because that's literally all it can hit us with, and we're going to get him down to about a quarter, as we're going to keep on alternating between Pursuits and Protects until eventually Whirlpeed is going to go down. And with that, we defeat Roxy. And I'm going to throw it out there, I love how this game just kind of gets going. I can't imagine that anything will block my path and take a really long time for literally no reason. This is great. And with our second badge in hand, Dodo the Archon is going to join our party. Okay, this guy's name is Studio. I'm sorry, this is the best thing that has ever happened in Pokemon ever. Okay, I take back everything I said. Why is this so long? On our way to catch a boat to
New York City.
we find Roxy and Hugh, who are fighting off these weird pirate guys. And they look a lot like the weird pirate guys that Hugh told us about when he was explaining his super sad backstory involving his little sister's purloin. But after we beat them up, they go ahead and run off. And we can make our way to the big city. When I head over to the Castelia City gym, we find out that Burgh, the local gym leader, is missing. Now enter this little purple girl, who has the exact same thought as me. Didn't he do this last time? But if Burgh's out looking for bad guys and solving problems, he's probably doing it wherever scary people meet. And after playing Pokemon Infinite Fusion about 100 times, we know exactly where the bad guys like to hide. The sewers. And just when I thought I was gonna find Team Plasma's super secret underground base, it's apparently just 2 random grunts. And after we defeat them, we run into this man with the most ridiculous Bluetooth headset that you've ever seen, who simply just walks away. So I guess we'll get ready to face off against Burgh in our next gym battle. And now it's gonna be time for us to face off against Burgh and his creepy crawly bug Pokemon. Burgh's first Pokemon to come out is gonna be Shauntal, and we're gonna send in Dodo. And we're gonna go for a ×4 super effective block, taking the Shauntal down in just 1. Which is gonna give us enough to level up to 25, which is wonderful. Next up is gonna come Dwebble. And Rock doesn't resist Rock, so I'm gonna throw a Rock at this thing, and we're gonna see how much damage we do, getting it down quite low, as this Rock goes for a Rock Polish. But I'm pretty sure my Rock is still faster than his Rock, so when he heals up with a Hyper Potion, I guess speed doesn't matter, and we score a little bit bigger of a hit. He is then going to go for a Smackdown. I did not realize he was going to outspeed me now, but fortunately I am not below half, which means a Rock Throw will take out Dwebble. Next in comes Leavanny. And we are going to go for a ×4 super effective Pluck, where we can grab ourselves the Oko on this bug lady. And for good measure, we're going to chomp up its Citrus Berry, defeating Burgh. And these first 3 gyms have been pretty easy, but honestly the next 2 are what I'm not looking forward to. And for our next party member, it's gonna be Frills the Leap. And if anybody could have earned their hidden ability, it would have been Frills. After the battle with Burgh, we run into this scientist guy again. And is that a Bluetooth headset or are his glasses like that? What is that? Either way, he introduces himself as Colress, a Pokemon researcher who wants to challenge us to a battle. And thank goodness it's not right now, because I know I can grab a Dig TM on Route 4, and let's just say that Colress is going to kick my butt otherwise. Wait, hold on, I wasn't ready for this yet. Aw, man. Alright, he sends in Magnemite, and we're going to send in Sarah. I'm going to go for an Iron Defense, because I might as well try to max out my defense, as this thing goes for a Thunder Wave, because of course it does. On the following turn, it's going to go for a Spark, doing 3, and we're paralyzed. It's going to follow up with another Spark, doing a little bit more, and we can go for another Iron Defense. After that, it's going to go for a Magnet Bomb, and it does like nothing to us, and in return does a bit more. Another Magnet Bomb's going to come in doing some damage to us, and we can get a bigger hit in with return, which is wonderful. And I did not know this thing had Sonic Boom. What the heck? It isn't supposed to. But another Spark is going to come in as we KO the Magnemite. Link comes in after that. And it's going to go for a Thunder Shock on us, and I'm going to go for a Rest so we can go ahead and heal up here. And I have to hope that a +4 is good enough for a Gear Grind, as it's going to come in doing a little bit of damage to us. I continue snoozing away as another Thunder Shock comes in, and we wake up going for a return, doing like basically nothing. We can go for another return, and we're going to get this thing down to about 70%. As a Thunder Shock starts to whittle us down, we can get it a little bit below half as another Gear Grind comes in, critting me, getting me down below half. Which means we need to rest again, because I'm not losing my best Pokemon, so we're going to go ahead and heal up as it goes for a charge this time. I'm probably going to run out of returns, but whatever, another Gear Grind comes in doing a bit of chip damage to us, and we continue to nap because our little baby girl needs a little bit of sleep. Get off her back! But she finally wakes up, going for a return, getting this thing down to about a quarter. We're going to continue going for returns, and it's now down into the red as another Gear Grind comes in, getting me down to about half. I did not know Colress had a Super Potion. Well, okie dokie. Though we're definitely going to burn through the rest of our returns before this thing goes down, and it changes things up going for another charge, and we're going to go ahead and get it to about half as we get paralyzed again. It goes for another charge, because I guess it might as well max out its special defense. I don't know if it has any more attacks, but whatever, it's going to keep on going for charges. It follows up with another Thunder Shock, and we can go for a return, bringing it down wicked low. And when it goes for another charge, We can go for one more return, taking down Clink. And thank goodness for the Eviolite here. And while getting up to the level cap, we're gonna have our first evolution as Sarah evolves into Bastiodon. And now it's time for us to face off against Elesa and her shocking array of electric Pokemon. Emolga comes in and I send in Sarah. The Emolga's gonna go for a Volt Switch right away to get the heck out of here. And she's gonna swap out into her Flaffy. I'm gonna go for an Ancient Power and hopefully we can get the Omni Boost here, as I only do about a quarter, but we do get the Omni Boost, which is amazing. We are then going to outspeed with another Ancient Power, scoring a massive hit as this thing goes for a Thunder Wave. And she doesn't even bother healing out. She's going to go ahead and Volt Switch again, which is going to lead back into Emolga, and I can go for a return, bringing it down quite low. She is then going to Volt Switch again, because apparently that's all she wants to do, sending in the Sheepy again, where we can take it down. Emolga comes back in, and it's gonna Volt Switch out again, and it's gonna score a crit no less, which is incredibly unfortunate, leading into Zebstrika. We do about 50%, which is great, and I'm pretty sure I can tank one hit from this thing, and good thing I don't swap out, as it goes for a Pursuit, which is gonna do next to nothing to us, and going for another Ancient Power, we can bring it down quite low, activating its Citrus Berry. Zebstrika is then gonna Volt Switch on out as well, doing a bit of chip damage to us as it runs away, leading back into Emolga, who we can take out with an Ancient Power. Zebstrika is gonna come back in, and I think it only has physically attacking moves other than Volt Switch, so I'm gonna stay in as it goes for a Pursuit, doing barely anything to us, and we can fire back with a return, getting it down really low. Elesa then heals up with a Hyper Potion, and we can go for another return, doing just about 50%. It is then going to go ahead and Volt Switch, doing about 8 to us, where another return gets it down super low. She doesn't bother healing up again, as another Volt Switch is going to come in, getting me down low, but we can take it down with one more return, defeating Elesa. And now we can welcome Elitha the Ammonite into the party. After crossing the bridge and heading over to Driftvale City, we find two different Team Plasma Grunts. One dressed like a knight, one dressed like a pirate. The only thing we're missing here is a ninja, and it would be an early to mid-2000s internet dream debate, but there's no way we'll find ninjas later. But these two dorks are arguing about what Team Plasma's overall message is: Pokemon's individual freedoms, or personal freedom through the oppression of Pokemon. But enough of that nonsense, I got badges to get. And now it's gonna be time for us to face off against Clay and his grounded goon. Anyways, Krokorok's gonna come in first, and we send in a Lithid. The Krokorok is obviously going to outspeed us, going for a Torment, which is annoying because literally the only move I want to use is Brine, and when we go for it, we can take down Krokorok in one shot. Next down comes Sandslash, and assuming a Bulldoze, I'm gonna swap out Illithid and send in Dodo instead, as it goes for a Rollout, which I was not expecting. I am gonna go for a Double Team on the following turn. Hopefully that way it'll miss the Rollout, and it doesn't, and Dodo gets knocked down to just 6 HP. So let's go ahead and swap out, and instead we're gonna send in Sarah, and this thing is gonna continue rolling out. It then goes for another rollout, and that's fine, and we're gonna go for a return, doing next to nothing. The rollout's gonna continue to hit me, and this time it does a massive amount of damage, and we are gonna go for an Iron Defense as we heal up a bit. It then changes things up, going for a Fury Cutter, doing just a tiny bit of damage, and we can go for another return, doing a bit more. Risking it for the biscuit, I'm going to stay in as it starts rolling out again, and we can go for a return, and we're going to get it down below half. The Sandslash continues rolling out, and this thing has got to have a wide lens or something, but it's now down into the red. As the rollout continues, we can go for a return, bringing it down quite low. Rollout is going to continue doing its thing, but it still does next to nothing to me, and another one takes it down. And this is going to lead into his ace, Excadrill. And I'm going to swap out of Sarah and send in Frills as this thing goes for a Bulldoze. It then changes things up, going for a Metal Claw, getting me down to just 19 HP, and I am going to go for a Confuse Ray. We're then going to swap out of Frills and send in Snips instead, and I need this thing to hit itself, and fortunately it does. After that, it's going to hit itself again, which is wonderful, and we can go for a Dig. After it smacks itself a third time, we go for a dig, taking down Excadrill, and holy moly, cannot believe we defeated Clay without losing anybody. And for clearing our next gym challenge, we're gonna add Bonk into the party. And this little fella is gonna go ahead and evolve right away into Rampardos. And we might as well force feed our friends some more candy to get a little bit more power before we go to the tournament. So next up's gonna be Dodo into Archeops. And after absolutely sweeping the Driftveil tournament, we find ourselves on this pirate ship confronting Team Plasma. And after we beat up all the Plasma grunts, we come face to face with one of the elders of Team Plasma, Zinzalin. And I'd love to hear more about this backstory, but I can't hear anything over Hugh screaming about his sister's purloin in the background. And remember how I said that all this game needed was some ninjas to be an internet chat room in the early to mid 2000s? Well, here they are. And now it's gonna be time for us to take on Skyla and her Sky Guys. Anyways, our first Pokemon in is gonna be Swoobat, and we send in a Lithid. On the first turn, Swoobat is going to go for a Heart Stamp, and it's going to do basically nothing to us, and we're going to fire off the power of the Ancients, and we're going to score ourselves an Oko, which is wonderful. Next out comes Skarmory. And honestly, I am deathly afraid of Skarmory, and it's going to go for a Steel Wing on us, getting me down to about half, and we're going to unleash the power of the Ancients, doing about half as well. I should be able to tank one more as another Steel Wing comes in, getting me to just 16 HP, and we can go for another one, getting the Omni Boost, which is awesome. But Omni Booster, no, I don't think I can take another hit, so we're going to swap out, sending in Sarah as Skyla heals up. Oh gosh, that was a bad idea. Anyways, it's going to go for another Steel Wing, doing basically nothing, and we can throw some rocks at it, doing about the same. Another Steel Wing comes in, and going for another Ancient Power, we can get it down to about half. So another Steel Wing comes in, getting a crit this time, and we can do the same thing, getting it down to about a third. And why won't any of these miss? And we get it down into the red. Another Steel Wing's going to get me down to just 35 HP, and it gets the defense boost, which stinks, and we're going to go ahead and do basically nothing now. Another Steel Wing's going to get me down to 26, and we're going to get this thing down wicked low. And I think I can tank one more, so I'm going to stay in, getting down to 17, and this thing is just hitting on nothing. We're going to risk it for the biscuit as another Steel Wing comes in, getting me to just 8 before Skarmory can get taken down. Swanna comes in last. And with Sarah so low, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I am going to swap out and send in Frills, because at least the Bubble Beam will be neutral as it comes in, getting a little bit of damage off. It's going to then go for a Feather Dance, but that's fine because I don't really think Frills does anything like that, and we're going to go for a Confuse Ray, so hopefully this thing can smack itself. I guess I'm going to go for an Amnesia because I don't really know what else to do, and Swanna's going to punch itself in the face. On the following turn, it does the same thing, and we can go for another Amnesia, bringing up our special defense, and we're going to go for one more as the luck is on our side as Swanna is now almost at half. It snaps out of its confusion to go for an Air Slash, which does effectively nothing, but we do unfortunately get flinched, and another one comes in before we set off another Confuse Ray. Air Slash is going to come in, and we are going to flinch again, and I guess my luck ran out, but we do manage to hit with an Acid as it activates its Citrus Berry. It then snaps out of its confusion, hitting us with another Bubble Beam as we go for another Acid. It's going to keep on doing its thing, and I'm going to keep on doing my thing. So we're going to go ahead and do just that, as the Swanna fortunately punches itself in the face, and I guess I'll set up an Ingrain, because what else am I supposed to do? Another Bubble Beam comes in, and we can go for an Acid, getting it down quite low, and we're going to start healing up just a teeny tiny bit, and fortunately, one more Acid gets it down wicked low, but not low enough, but what's great is that it punches itself in the face, and we defeat Skyla. And Skarmory and Swanna really had me scared there, but he managed to break through. And with the level cap raised, we can finally start getting some evolutions. Holy smokes. Anyways, a Lithid is going to evolve into Omastar. Next up is gonna be Snips, and our little fella is finally going to ascend into Armaldo. And after that, he's gonna come the Frills, who gets to evolve as well into Credilli. And I'm gonna try to hold on to him until we face off against Drayden, but we finally get Gary the Aerodactyl. We run into Hugh in Undella Town, and for the first time ever, he's not screaming about his sister's purloin, but he does want a battle. He's going to start off by sending in Pheasant, and we're going to send in Sarah. It's going to go for a taunt on the first turn, which is annoying because I really wanted to kick up a sandstorm. It's then going to go for a detect to be a giant jerk, blocking our ancient power, which is really frustrating. Anyways, it goes for an air slash on the following turn, and we can go for an ancient power, taking the Burgh down wicked low. But we will get the Omni boost, which is amazing. Knowing that he's going to heal up in the taunt ending, I'm going to go ahead and kick up a sandstorm. And on the following turn, it's going to go for an air slash doing like nothing, and we can go ahead and throw some rocks at this thing doing a little bit of damage, but honestly less than we did the first time. On the following turn, it's going to go for a detect, and then after that, it's going to hit us with an air slash, and we unfortunately flinch. And we are really wasting a lot of turns here, but anyways, another taunt comes in, we go for a return, and then Pheasant goes down. And the sandstorm is gone just in time for Simipour to come in. Simipour is going to go for a Leer, which is good because I was afraid it was going to go for a Scald, and I'm going to throw some rocks at this thing doing a bit of damage. On the following turn, it goes for that Scald, and we are going to tank it pretty well, and we can go for another Ancient Power, taking it down quite low. With the taunt gone, another Scald's going to come in, getting me down wicked low, and we're going to kick up the Sandstorm to boost up our special defense. And with our special defense boosted, we're going to swap out and send in Frills as another Scald comes in, doing a little bit of damage and getting the burn off. On the following turn, another Scald comes in, getting me down a bit below half, activating my Oran Berry, and we can go for a Confuse Ray. It then punches itself in the face, taking itself down, which is wonderful. But unfortunately, enter Emboar. But I know it doesn't have any fighting moves, so we're going to swap out, sending in Illithid as it goes for an Assurance. It then goes for another Assurance, and we can assure its destruction with a Surf, taking it down in just one shot. And with that, we defeat Hugh. After talking to Professor Juniper and Bianca about something super important, we find Hugh, who found Team Plasma. But before Zinzalin even gets a chance to speak, he was already ready to throw out his balls in the name of purloins everywhere. So they send in Golbat and Cryogonal, and we're gonna send in Sarah and Emboar. Cryogonal's gonna set up a light screen, which is a little frustrating, as the Golbat then goes for an Air Cutter doing what it do, and an Emboar is gonna go for a Flamethrower on the wrong target, but it's still gonna do quite a bit of damage. I'm then going to throw a bunch of rocks at this thing, doing like nothing. So let's change things up. Cryogonal is going to go for an Ice Beam on Sarah, doing basically nothing, and then Golbat's going to follow with an Air Cutter on all of us, doing a bit of damage to Emboar and basically nothing to me. Emboar goes for another Flamethrower, still on the wrong target, taking it down, and I'm going to go for a return on Cryogonal, getting it down below half. Garbodor comes in after that. Cryogonal goes for another Ice Beam on me, doing effectively nothing, as a takedown on Cryogonal takes it down, which is wonderful. Garbodor goes for a Clear Smog, doing nothing to me, and a bit to Emboar, and then I'm going to body slamming it, activating its weak armor, which is a little annoying, but whatever, we're both slow anyway. Anyways, enter Sneasel. Sneasel goes for a Snatch, and then Garbodor goes for a Sludge Bomb, and unfortunately, that's going to be the end of Emboar, as a return on Garbodor goes ahead and activates its weak armor again, just in time for Simipour to come in. The light screen has to be gone by now, so Simipour's going to get slashed and then get some poison thrown at it, and Simipour's going to go for a Scald on the Sneasel, doing a little bit of damage, and I'm going to throw some rocks at it, doing a bit more, and apparently maybe it's not done yet. There we go, now the light screen's gone. With the light screen gone, Sneasel's going to go for a slash, bringing Simipour down to 1 as a Clear Smog takes the monkey out. We're then going to go for an Ancient Power, taking Sneasel down super low, but still not the KO because my attack stats are terrible, and Unfezant comes in. Sneasel goes for a slash on Unfezant, and Garbodor goes for a Toxic on it as well, as the Unfezant is going to go for a Razor Wind, getting it ready to do what it do, and Sneasel gets taken out finally. Garbodor goes for a Sludge Bomb on this bird, taking it down quite low. Razor Wind takes out Garbodor, and we defeat Team Plasma. Zinzalin asserts us that he doesn't have any purloins. After all, we saw all the Pokemon that he has, and they run away. But Hugh knows that Garbodor was just his sister's purloin in disguise, and runs off. And now it's time for us to take on Granddaddy Drayden in his completely improbable beard. He's going to start off with Darudagon, and we're going to send in Gary. I'm going to have Gary go for an Ice Fang right away, and the Darudagon is going to get taken down wicked low, and it's going to go for a Crunch. On the following turn, Drayden's gonna heal up with a Hyper Potion, but that's fine with me because we're gonna chomp on this bad boy one more time, and one more for good measure, taking it down. Next now comes Flygon. and the Ice Fang is going to be ×4 super effective, and Flygon can go down immediately. All that's left now is Haxorus, who breaks the mold, and I'm going to hope it just goes for a Dragon Dance or something here, and we're going to go for an Ice Fang. And the Haxorus goes down in one shot as well. Thank you, Expert Belt. Holy smokes. And we defeat Drayden. Drayden invites us over for a cup of coffee, and how could I say no? But all he seems to want to talk about are dragons. Apparently the legendary Unovan dragons, Zekrom and Reshiram, used to be the same Pokemon, but a conflict between brothers caused them to split up, one standing for truth and the other for ideals. But legend says that there's a third Pokemon, Kyurem. And Drayden is pretty sure that this part of the legend is probably true, not only because the other two parts were, but because it's been wicked cold lately. There's also a device called a DNA splicer that would be capable of fusing the two Pokemon back together into that singular dragon. And I can't believe Pokemon Fusion is a thing. Do you think that the possibilities may be infinite? But before we can discuss Pokemon Fusion even more, there's an explosion outside, and we head out there to find a freaking airship bombarding Castelia City. And it looks like Team Plasma has unleashed their super secret evil plan. They want to bomb Drayden's house and steal the DNA splicers, because Team Plasma. And with their giant cannon, they start summoning gigantic ice things everywhere. That's pretty crazy. Dinzelin complains about how cold it is despite the fact that he's the one that made all the ice and decides to leave. Drayden confirms that the DNA splicers are A-OK, and then he gives them to us for some reason. But now enter the Shadow Triad of Team Plasma, and just like that, the DNA splicers are gone, and so are the ninjas. And even though Team Plasma just stole the DNA splicers and flew away in their literal airship, I've got important things to do. I forgot to mention it earlier, but for defeating Drayden, we can now add Crab into the party. And once we do add Crab into the party, it can evolve right away into a Kabutops. And you know, 15 seconds ago I said I had more important things to do than saving the world? Well, it's to take on Marlon for our last bad. Anyways, Caracosta is going to come in as his first Pokemon, and we're going to send in Frills. And I'm hoping that I can just Giga Drain all three of his Pokemon, but unfortunately Caracosta has Sturdy, and it's going to go for a Scald, which is going to burn us, which is a little unfortunate here. But Marlon's then going to heal up with a Hyper Potion, so we can go for another Giga Drain, which is going to redo the Sturdy, but we will heal basically back up to full, except for the burn damage. And with one more little slurp, we can take down Caracosta. Wailord comes in next, and it's going to go for an Amnesia, which is my worst enemy right now, and we can go for another Giga Drain, doing about half. Luckily, Wailord's a big chunky boy, so we still heal back up to full, as another Scald comes in, doing some decent damage to me, and I can take down the Wailord on a crit. Heck yes! Finally comes Jellicent. And I'm a little Jellicent of that mustache. Anyways, it goes for a Scald as well, and we can go for a Giga Drain, doing half, healing ourselves back up basically to full. It's going to heal up with a Citrus Berry while we take a little bit more burn damage as another Scald comes in, getting me down to half once again. We're going to go ahead and get it down pretty low, where we can take one more Scald before finishing it off with one more Giga Drain. And after taking down this beautiful mustache, we defeat Marlon. After the battle, Marlon overhears Hugh and I talking about Team Plasma. But Hugh is a man who will not be deterred. He doesn't care about the DNA splicers, the three legendary dragons, or anything else. Where is my sister's hat? And with our 8th and final badge, Crush will be available to us as well. After solving the Plasma Frigate's very intricate teleporting puzzle, Dinzelin shows us Kyurem through this very tiny window. But just when we think we're gonna rescue Kyurem, enter Colress. And when he said he wanted to bring out the best in both Pokemon and people, I didn't think he'd be working for the bad guys. So I guess if we want to save the world, we're gonna have to fight science? He's gonna start off with Magneton, and I send in Sarah. On the first turn, the Magneton is gonna Volt Switch out immediately, swapping into Metang, and I'm gonna go ahead and kick up a Sandstorm. So that way I can break the Sturdy on all of his Pokemon. We're gonna go ahead and send up some Stealth Rocks after that. After that, it's going to go for a Meteor Mash, doing some damage to me, and I can go for a Fire Blast, getting him down just below half. And with another Meteor Mash, it's going to do a little bit more to me, but with one more Fire Blast, we take out Metang. Cling Clang comes in after that, and it's going to go for a Shift Gear, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it? And we're going to go for a Fire Blast, which fortunately we don't miss, and we manage to score a massive hit. Colress is then going to use his full restore to heal the Cling Clang back up, and we can go for another Fire Blast, doing just about 50%. A Gear Grind from the Cling Clang is going to do some good damage to Sarah, and we're going to go for another Fire Blast, and we're going to get it down into basically nothing. I'm then going to swap out of Sarah, and I'm going to swap into Crab as it goes for a Gear Grind that we can tank better than I thought we would, but I'm not doing great here. And then with an Aqua Jet, we can take out the Cling Clang. Next out comes Bohemian. I have to assume this thing is going for an Energy Ball, so we're going to swap out into Frills as he goes for a Psychic. I'm going to have Frills go ahead and set up a couple of Amnesias because I don't think the Bohemian can really do all that much damage to me. Plus, it's slow as heck, so we're going to be able to get up to +4 as it goes for a Calm Mind, and then we can get up to +6 after that. It sets up a second Calm Mind, which is a little concerning. I'm going to go for a bunch of Giga Drains all in a row, but now that it's stacked up his Calm Mind a few times, it's barely doing any damage, and he's just going to keep on recovering that damage anyways. Let's go for another Energy Ball, and I gotta hope I can start getting some special defense drops, and they don't seem to be coming anywhere, but now we got this thing down pretty low as it decides to go for another Recover. So let's go for another Giga Drain, and it's doing like nothing as it decides to go for a Psychic, which is now starting to do a bit of damage due to how many Calm Minds he's gone for. But I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to outlast this guy as long as I keep on recovering. We're going to keep on going back and forth for a while, and I'm going to keep on going for Giga Drains to keep myself in the green, so hopefully I can keep myself at least kind of healthy here. And I guess the only fortunate thing here is that all of this thing's moves don't have very much PP. So going for another Giga Drain, we're going to go ahead and try to heal up a little bit, and now we are using our last Giga Drain, and I am not in a great spot here, as now it starts going for more recovers. So I guess I'll change things up, going for an Energy Ball, hoping I can get a special defense drop, and I don't, as a crit comes in, KOing Frills. Then I accidentally sent in Sarah, which I did not mean to do, as this thing goes for an Energy Ball, getting me down to literally 2 as I kick up another Sandstorm. So we're going to go ahead and swap out, sending in Gary, as an Energy Ball is going to come in, doing a lot of damage to us. But Gary can go for a Crunch, KOing Bohemian. After that's going to come is Magneton again. And with the Sturdy broken from the rocks, we can go for a ×4 super effective Bulldoze, taking down Magneton, which means Magnezone's gonna come in next. And we're gonna try to do the same thing here, and fortunately we can take down the Magnezone as well. And even though I'm super bummed that we lost Frills, we do manage to defeat Colress. And after defeating Colress, we're gonna come face to face with the worst dad of the entire Pokemon universe, Ghetsis. After beating up the Shadow Triad and saving Hugh's long-lost cat, we follow Ghetsis to a cave where he orders Kyurem to literally glaciate us, a human. But then, a fusion bolt striking it out of the sky. And Ghetsis' son, N, joins the battle. But this is exactly what Ghetsis wanted. Zekrom and Kyurem, here in the same place. And he uses the fusion splicers, which I can't believe that's an actual thing in Pokemon. Using them together? That's insane! But in a flash of light and science, the two dragon Pokemon fuse. But after bonking this thing a few times with our Iron Head, we defeat Kyurem Black. They defuse and Kyurem goes back to where he's supposed to go, which is not here. Wait, hold on, I have to fight Ghetsis right away? I don't get a chance to heal? Well, that's not fair. I'm already down a Pokemon. All right, Confronting comes in, and I'm going to send in Sarah. Oh, thank God I healed. The first thing I'm going to do is kick up a Sandstorm, and the Confronting is going to go for a Shadow Ball, doing basically nothing to us. After that, I'm going to go for Stealth Rock to get that going, as another Shadow Ball is going to come in, doing a tiny bit of damage to us. The Confronting then goes for a Protect on the following turn, and I'm going to try to bonk it in the head, but it unfortunately doesn't work. But after that, I can bonk it, doing just a tiny bit of damage, activating Mummy, and fortunately it flinches. I'm then going to go for a Fire Blast, doing a bunch of damage on a crit, and a Shadow Ball is going to come in, doing a tiny bit of damage to me as a Sandstorm subsides. So let's go ahead and get that going again, because there is no way in heck I am going to be fighting against most of Ghetsis' Pokemon without the Sandstorm active. Anyways, on the following turn, we can go for another Fire Blast, bringing it down pretty low as a Shadow Ball comes in. And Ghetsis is then going to go for a full restore, and we can go for an Iron Head, which is going to go ahead and do just a little bit of damage. And I'm going to keep on going back and forth with this against the Confronting for a while, so we'll just wait and see if something interesting happens, because I'm pretty sure this is just going to take forever for the two of these guys to fight one another. And after like way too long, eventually take the Confronting down. The sandstorm goes away and Seismitoad comes in. I'm going to stay in, and unfortunately this thing is going to go for an earthquake, which means that Sarah is going to get taken down on a crit, no less. I cannot believe I did that. So I guess I'll send in Gary, because I literally don't have another choice. I'm going to have Gary go for a fly, because I have to hope that a stab fly is enough to KO the Seismitoad, and it's not. As the Seismitoad tries to go for a Muddy Water, but fortunately it misses. And with a crunch, we can take it down. This is going to lead into Electros. And without frills, I am in a terrible spot here, but we'll swap out into Bonk, as the Electros goes for a Thunderbolt. I'm going to go for a Zen Headbutt, hoping for the flinch, and we fortunately get it. And after one more Zen Headbutt, we can take down Electros. Drapion comes in after that, and I know it has Earthquake, but I stay in on 5 HP, taking Drapion down pretty low. Expecting another Earthquake, I'm going to swap out Bonk and send in Gary, as it does indeed go for an Earthquake. But we can outspeed, go for a Bulldoze, and then take it down. This is going to lead into Hydreigon, and I am going to swap out of Gary, and I'm going to go ahead and send in Illithid, as it goes for a Dragon Rush, doing a lot of damage to us. And with another Dragon Rush, Illithid is left on just 6 HP. And I flinch! And I'm going to swap out Illithid and then send in Grab, as it goes for another Dragon Rush. But we can outspeed on the following turn, and I can go for a Superpower, taking down Hydreigon, which is going to lead into Toxicroak. So let's go ahead and swap out Crab, and I'm going to send in Gary, and the Toxicroak goes for a Brick Break. Toxicroak is then going to go for a Sucker Punch, getting me down pretty low, and with a Bulldoze, we could take it down to basically nothing, lowering its speed. And we can outspeed it on the following turn with a Bulldoze, taking down the Toxicroak. And with that, we've defeated Ghetsis as well. And with Ghetsis' defeat, Team Plasma is disbanded. And now that we've made it to the Pokemon League, let's take one quick look before we face off against the Elite Four. First up, we've got Dodo the Archeops with Rock Slide, Crunch, Acrobatics, and Dragon Claw. Next up, we have Illithid the Omastar with Surf, Protect, Earth Power, and Ice Beam. Grab the Kabutops with Aqua Jet, Knock Off, Aqua Tail, and Superpower. Bonk the Rampardos with Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, Sandstorm, and Stealth Rock. Crush the Caracasta with Rock Slide, Aqua Tail, Shell Smash, and Iron Head. And finally, Gary the Aerodactyl with Crunch, Iron Head, Ice Fang, and Thunder Fang. So let's see if we can face off against Shauntal for our first Elite Four challenger. She's going to start off with Confronting, and we're going to send in Gary. I'm going to have Gary go for a Crunch right away on the Confronting, and we can take it down in one shot on a crit, no less. Next out's going to come Drifloon. And we're going to go for a Crunch on this bad boy as well, and we can take it down in one shot, as the Aftermath does about a third to us. Golurk's going to come in after that, and we're going to go for a Crunch on this big boy as well, bringing it down into the red as he goes for a Shadow Punch, getting a pretty good hit on us. Shauntal is going to use a full restore to heal her Golurk back up on the following turn, and we can go for another Crunch, bringing it quite low, getting a defense drop, and then one more to take it out. Her final Pokemon Chandelure comes in, and we can go for another Crunch, taking it down as well, and thank you, Expert Belt Aerodactyl, and we defeat Shauntal. And I'm assuming my Crunchy Birds will be enough to take down Caitlyn, so we're going to take care of her next. Marshana comes in first, and I'm going to send in Dodo. I'm going to go for a Crunch on the first turn, scoring a pretty good hit as it goes for a Yawn. I'm not going to switch out though, because I purposely gave myself a Lumberry, so that way I can wake right back up, so we take it down with another Crunch before we wake back up, leading into Sigilyph. I'm going to then go for a Rock Slide, and hopefully the stab is enough to KO this weird bird, and fortunately it is, which leads into Gothitelle. And we can go for a Crunch on the Gothitelle, doing like 60%, getting the defense drop, but it's going to heal up with his Citrus Berry, which is a little unfortunate as it goes for a Calm Mind. But that's fine with me, because I thought it was going to go for Thunderbolt, so we can then take it out. Renucleus then comes in as her final Pokemon. And when going for a crunch, we can take it down pretty low, getting the defense drop as this thing goes for a psychic. And fortunately, we are still above half, so one more crunch takes down Renucleus, and we defeat Caitlyn. Next, I'm going to go for Grimsley because I'm hoping that Crab can just OHKO all of his Pokemon with superpower, but I don't really know. Anyways, here's Liepard, and I'm going to send in Crab. I know it's going to go for a Fake Out on the first turn, and it does like nothing, and I flinch. I'm then going to go for an Aqua Jet after that, and I'm going to do just about 50% as a Night Slash comes in. I unfortunately then miss an Aqua Tail getting knocked down pretty low, but this will activate my Citrus Berry, and an Aqua Tail can then take down the Kitty Cat. Crocodile comes in after that, intimidating me, which I completely forgot about. And assuming an Earthquake, I'm going to swap out Crab and send in Gary, as it does go for an Earthquake. After that, we're going to go for an Ice Fang, which I miss, and he goes for a Crunch, doing almost half. After that, I miss another Ice Fang. Unfortunately, it misses a Rock Tomb before I can connect, grabbing a huge hit on this bad boy, and a Rock Tomb comes in, getting Gary down quite low. I'm then going to swap out, sending Crab back in as he heals up with a full restore. But we can then go for an Aqua Tail on this bad boy, taking him down. Rafty's going to come in after that. And we're going to outspeed, going for a superpower, taking it down wicked low, but not as low as I thought, but fortunately they miss. So with an Aqua Jet, we can secure the KO on Scrafty, which means Bisharp is his final Pokemon. And going for a quad super effective superpower takes it down in one. And we defeat Grimsley. And we're facing off against Marshall last on purpose, because our team of Rock Hard Boys is going to have one heck of a time. Ro's going to come in first, and then we're going to send in Dodo. And this is also why I added Dodo back into the party, because I could give it a Flying Gem, and a Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics should be able to KO Throw, no problem. Conkeldurr comes in after that, and now that we're not holding an item, Acrobatics should still do a butt ton of damage, and we can take it down in one. Thought comes in next, and I know that it has Sturdy, so I can't OHKO it, but I hope an Acrobatics is going to get it down low, which it does. And it goes for a Payback of all things, doing about half. After that, Marshall's going to use a full restore to heal up, and we can go for another Acrobatics, getting it back down to its Sturdy again. And with one more, we take down Sock. Mienshao comes in last, and with one more Acrobatics, we can take it down, and Archeops is really showing its stuff here. And now it's going to be time for us to take on Iris in the championship battle to see if our group of Rock Hard Boys has what it takes to become the Unnovan champion. Anyways, Hydreigion's going to come in first, and I'm going to send in Crab. And I'm going to go for a superpower right away on this big old dragon, and we can get it down quite low. But not low enough, and a Dragon Pulse is going to come in, doing a lot of damage to us. Iris is then going to use her first full restore, and we're going to go for an Aqua Jet, and I'm going to do like literally nothing. But I might as well just go for it here, and we're going to go for another superpower, bringing it down pretty low again, as it goes for another Dragon Pulse, KOing Crab. So let's go ahead and send in Gary, who honestly I probably should have sent it in the first place. I'm going to go for an Ice Fang and finish off the Hydreigon. Lapras comes in after that. And I have got to assume an Ice Beam, so we're going to swap into Illithid as it goes for a Sing. Well, I guess I probably could have stayed in. It then goes for a Thunderbolt, which is going to do massive damage to us, and we can go for an Earth Power, which is going to do like nothing. I'm going to swap out of Illithid and then send in Bonk, and it's going to go for another Thunderbolt. And then a Surf comes in, KOing Bonk immediately. So here comes Gary again. And we're going to go for an Expert boosted Thunderfang, and we can take the Lapras down really low. It then fires off an Ice Beam, which is going to take us low as well, but with one more Thunderfang, we take it out. The Rutagon comes in after that, and we're going to go with an Ice Fang here, bringing it down pretty low, and we freeze it, which is insane. And then we can secure the KO with a Crunch, which leads into Archeops. Gary's going to outspeed the Archeops, going for an Iron Head here, and we can take it down in one as well, which leads into Aggron. And nothing here is going to be super effective, but Iron Head's probably going to do the most damage, so we're going to go for that, and we do like nothing, but we do get the flinch, which is crazy. And with another one, it's going to go for an Automize to go ahead and increase its speed, which is less than ideal, but obviously I'm still faster, and we get another flinch, and then we can go for another Iron Head as it goes for a Rock Slide, finishing off Gary. I'm going to send in Dodo because I don't know who else to send in. And I'm going to go for a Rock Slide because at least it's Stab, and it's enough to take down Aggron. Which means in comes Haxorus, her final Pokemon. And I am going to go for a Dragon Claw on Dono, bringing it down quite low as it sets up a Dragon Dance. It's now faster than me, and it can go for a Dual Chop, which is going to score a massive critical hit on us. But that was only the first hit, and I am down to just 9 HP before one more Dragon Claw comes in and it's not KO'd. Then Haxorus goes for one more Dual Chop, and down I go. So let's send in Crush. And everything is riding on this. The Haxorus is going to go for a +1 Earthquake on Crush, getting him down to just 54 HP. He'll heal up a bit with his Citrus Berry, and then we can go for an Iron Head, KOing Haxorus. And we do it. We defeat Iris and become the Pokemon League champions. And that, everyone, is how I beat Pokemon Black 2 using only fossil Pokemon. If you liked the video, the sound of my voice, and you made it this far and you're not subscribed yet, then what the heck are you doing? Go ahead and hit that button. You know that you want to. I have got to say that this was a lot of fun, and I've never actually played Black and White 2 before, so this was absolutely crazy. It's been just over a year since my Infinite Fusion fossil run, and I've been wanting to do another one, and I am really glad that I was able to beat this game with it. I know I don't show you guys all my various attempts, but I wiped on Colress like 3 times before we finally managed to pull through on this run, which is super exciting. But anyways, let me know what other types of challenges, let me know what other types of videos and runs you'd like to see in the future. And I'm hoping that this video does well because I'd love to do more vanilla challenges. But anywho, I will catch you all in the next Pokemon video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.